Hey everybody, you got Dan Burrell here from Five Wide Football. Today we're talking with Kush from the Hub, who does really good in-depth Giants breakdowns, especially with free agency and with the draft. He knows a lot, so I'm gonna throw it over to him, and he's gonna tell you where you can find him and stuff about his channel.
All right, what's up, guys? Whoever is out there listening, thank you for tuning in. First and foremost, check out Dan's YouTube channel, his Twitter account, and his website that he's going to have up. Very good fantasy football resources that he tries to get out to the people that might otherwise be hard or difficult for somebody to figure out. Very good stuff over there. As for me, I'm just a a Giants YouTuber. You can find me on YouTube. I'll probably send Dan the link when we're finished, so maybe he could put it up somewhere. Because as of right now, I don't have my own customizable link. There's like YouTube is weird with that stuff. I get that later apparently. But as of right now, I'm just on YouTube. I usually use Twitter to get my videos out there and give thoughts on certain articles that may be out there. But if you ever want Giant specific breakdowns, whether it's players, free agency signings, I'm gonna be doing a good amount of draft stuff coming up since April is almost here. Come right to me, man.
Yeah, and I second how great his videos are. I just watched his one today breaking down how the offensive tackles in the drafts are not Eric Flowers. And as I was watching it, I just kept remembering my friend, who's a big Miami University fan, telling me exactly what he was saying. Eric Flowers, freak athlete, didn't know how to actually block. That's what we're
Exactly.
seeing in the NFL too.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get down the wormhole right now, but from any of you out there who know the top four offensive tackles, Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, and Mekhi Becton. Becton is a player who's very similar to Flowers in the sense that in the past couple of months, after the college football season has ended and really I guess scouting has kind of become a thing that NFL fans do, draft is getting closer and closer. He's risen up these draft boards purely because of his athletic talent and his size. Dude is very raw, and I'm not saying he's gonna be a bust. I never know what's gonna happen. I can't tell the future, but signs are there that if he doesn't improve his technique and just really football, knowing how to play football instead of relying on his size and athletic ability, he could end up being a Flowers, right? So like in
And
that video that you mentioned, what I was really talking about the other three, Wirfs, Thomas, and Wills, which is kind of a debate amongst Giant fans. I'm sure you've probably had it with some people yourself.
yeah, of course, of course. And like I was saying, we need to shore up the offensive line to help Daniel Jones. We just pulled it up as we were talking earlier before we went live. Daniel Jones he had 10 fumbles last year. So from a fantasy perspective, he's costing you 20 points. Some of that is obviously himself knowing the pocket, playing in the NFL. That's going to get better second year in. But a large part of that was the Giants just having a very bad offensive line. Um, so my big question here, looking at free agency, is Cameron Flemings. We signed him. Does he make an immediate impact, in your opinion, on the offensive line?
I don't know, man. That's the thing, right? Like it all depends what we do in the draft. So as of right now, I think anybody could see, given that the Giants attacked mostly defense in free agency, and really the only offensive line guy we got was Cam Fleming. It looks like they might go tackle in the first round, right? So if they do that, Cam Fleming is going to end up being one of the best backups in the league because he has started. He started when for Dallas when their offensive linemen were out. I forgot which one was out last year, but I know they had a couple injuries on the line, and Cam Fleming was slotted into that starting spot.
Yeah.
And even for New England back in like 2015, he had 7 games started, so he has starting experience. But he's really mostly just a great backup, great depth player. He could definitely play at right tackle, but he's not going to be good. He's probably going to be like, if we'd rank the 32 starting tackles in the league, he's probably going to be in that 20 to 32 range, or maybe even 25 to 32 range. Don't expect too much from Cam Fleming. I really view him as a great, great backup player, kind of like a David Mayo on the defensive side. So
Yeah.
it depends what we do in draft.
Okay. So then let's keep our fingers crossed, both as a Giants fan myself and from the fantasy perspective. If you if you want to wait till
If you
later on
sure
to
up,
take a
yeah.
quarterback.
I mean, if like from the fantasy's perspective and the Giants fan perspective, if you shore up that offensive line, man, I mean, it just seems so logical to do, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
you would give both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley just so much better like playing time. You know, you just help them improve so better. You know, the team, the offense. You'd be protecting Jones. You wouldn't be wasting Barkley's already, you know, who was a questionable pick at number 2 overall. You wouldn't be wasting that number 2 overall pick by making this dude end his career early and all that. You know what I'm saying?
And I was looking at the stats. 2 of the 3 games that Saquon Barkley was out last year, granted, they were against the Vikings and the Patriots, who are very good. We averaged like 3 yards a carry. It was really bad. And that really shows our offensive line how porous it was, because Wayne Goldman's not a bad backup. And he couldn't do anything when Saquon Barkley was out. We just really couldn't run the ball at all. And so if you're looking and you're like, okay, do I take Saquon Barkley as like a top 3, top 4? I think what you really got to look at is how the Giants move to shore up that offensive line. We take a tackle in the first round that's looking like he can come right out and make an impact. Saquon Barkley moves up to, in my opinion, the number 2 running back. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, I don't see anybody passing him at number 1. Just
which, by the way,
does.
Christian McCaffrey last year was an absolute monster. I knew he was gonna be good, you know, especially after his rookie year, but that good last year was amazing.
And he won't be that good again this year. That was
yeah, definitely.
No, because he might.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, he might do a little bit better rushing yards because hopefully they'll have a quarterback, but he benefited from not having a quarterback in that they threw so many little dump passes to him, and he's just so good in the open field. He's not going to have another 100 receptions at a running back. It's just not going to happen.
We don't even know what Carolina is going to be this year with their basically rebuilding and all that. You know, Matt Rule, who was rumored at one point to be the Giants head coach. Now I'm kind of glad we didn't take him, because we could probably get into that later. But getting back to the offensive line a little, I'm not sure if you picked up on this, Dan, but like I think for like the first 4 weeks or so, Giants offensive line was actually pretty good. In fact, for the first 2 weeks, I know it was ranked top 5 in both pass and run protection. Something just went wrong along the way. Maybe it was a fluke because it was a very small sample size. But as the year went on, we both know the offensive line kind of fell apart. And we saw how Saquon performed in those first 2 weeks. Against Dallas, he averaged 10 yards a rush, if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Like against Dallas week 1, Saquon was averaging 10 yards per rushing attempt. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he did absolutely tear it up last year. I think part of that was injuries to our receiving core and to Barkley that hurt the offensive line, put a little bit more pressure on them, because when you're able to hit a lot of those quick slants and screens that we love to run to Shepard, it takes a lot of pressure off the offensive line to hold your pass block as long. And when Saquon Barkley is such a good rusher, it makes the defensive ends take it. When you do the fake handoff, they have to do like a half a step pause. When he gets injured and it's taken him a little bit to come back, which happened last year, you know, he kind of had some lingering issues.
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought he came back a little early last year. Either way, he was an absolute freak of nature coming back when he did.
And he came back, that was a high ankle sprain, right?
High ankle sprain, yeah.
And
he was supposed to be out for like 8 weeks. I think he came back after 3 or 4 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, 3 weeks. And I pulled up his stats for the Cowboys game. You were wrong. He actually averaged just a hair under 11 yards a carry at 10.
Oh, man. You see what I'm saying? Like, listen, obviously, I don't think you could do that over a season.
No.
But even just off of his rookie year, right? Like, let's forget last year happened for a second. Even just off of his rookie year, we were all saying, we being Giants fans, man, if we could get Saquon aligned, he's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And the same thing holds true right now. Back from injury, we see him picking up the pieces, getting back to his old self towards the end of the year. Knock on wood, hopefully he stays healthy. Like Saquon's obviously not an injury prone guy. So you get some help on that offensive line, man, and we'd really be cooking.
Oh, it'd be huge. I mean, he ended the season with he averaged 4.6 yards, 8.5, 5.4 in his last 3 games. He started off the season averaging 11 and 6 yards a carry, which is just absolutely insane. You put those 5 games when he's healthy. And I mean, granted, you throw in actually week 2, it was against Buffalo's defense, which was a top 5 defense. And he had 18 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown.
Exactly.
So it wasn't even against that terrible of defenses. I mean, he does have Miami and Washington in there, but the other 3 were Dallas, Buffalo, and the Eagles. So 2 middle-of-the-road defenses, 1, I'd make an argument, great defense in Buffalo. Carried them.
Buffalo definitely was great, and they were definitely great in the run defense too, not just overall.
Yeah. Another big thing I did want to ask you about is, so the Giants signed 2 linebackers last year. If you just go out and get whatever tight end, if he was available going up against the Giants, their pass coverage against tight ends was horrible. They gave up the 10th most points to tight ends in the entire NFL. Dan,
I'd like to correct you there. Not just last year. How about we go to last decade?
All right. Okay. We can go all the way back probably to when they had Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
Back in the 2007, 2008, when you had Umenyiora switching back out there a little bit for outside linebacker and to defensive end, and they had Antonio Pierce. They have not had good coverage linebackers since those 2. But it was glaringly bad last year. Obviously, the year before, just as bad. Can either of these 2 guys, Frackle, Kyler, is that how you say it? Frackle?
Kyler Fackrell, I think.
Fackrell and Blake Martinez. Do either of these guys make a big impact? I know Blake's been a starter at least. Kyler, he's primarily been a backup with 1 tremendous season in 2018. From what you know, can either of these guys slow down the tight ends in the NFC East, or is that there in Philly?
Right, so this is
eat us alive.
This is what I can give you, right? Let's talk about Kyler first. So Kyler, as you said, was basically like a rotational piece in Green Bay. But his one incredible season in 2018, as was with Blake Martinez, who I'll get to afterwards, where he had, I think, 10.5 sacks in 2018. Guess who was his linebacker coach at that time?
The Giants defensive coordinator.
The Giants defensive coordinator, but also he wasn't a complete starter, but I think he started a good amount of games. I don't know it off the top of my head. He wasn't a complete starter for the entire season, but he started a good amount of games. And Green Bay used him in such a way that he was able to get those 10.5 sacks. I don't think he's going to get 10.5 sacks with the Giants, right? And it's like a very similar signing to Marcus Golden the year before, where there was one year where he was with Betcher. Golden had like a 10-sack season. Came over to the Giants, very low risk, very high reward. Turned out to be a high reward. And I honestly would have preferred signing Golden again, even though, he is scheme dependent. But once, like the Giants say, since they hired Joe Judge, they've said we're not going to be a scheme dependent team. So because of that, I think Golden would have had success. That's probably another topic we could get into if you want. But Fackrell, I think he could come in, and he is automatically the best edge rusher we have on the team right now because Golden isn't back. And I really don't know about Carter. And Zimenez has yet, he's only had a rookie year, so I'm not really judging him too much. So Fackrell came in. He's probably the best edge rusher we have now. I could see him getting maybe 7 to 9 sacks. 10 sacks could be a stretch, but who knows, right? We don't know. So in terms of that,
really helps the defense right away.
Yeah, I mean, once again, man, I really wish we got Golden back. I believe he could have had a repeat. another 10 sack season because the Giants defense is looking to build in such a way that once again, like Patrick Graham said, they're not going to be trotting out there every week in a 3-4 formation. They're going to do, whatever they can to stop the offense, kind of morphing to attack that offense in a different way. Maybe one week is a 3-4, next week is going to be a 4-3, different linebacker sets and whatnot. So because of that, I think that re-signing Golden would have been a smart move to make. And he wants to come back to the Giants also. But so in terms of that, Fackrell's not going to make a impact in stopping tight ends, but I think he's going to have impact in rushing the passer. Now on Martinez is a complete tackling machine. I'm sure you could pull up any of the stats. He's had like 144 tackles, at least 144 tackles every year since 2017. And in 2017, he led the league in most tackles made. And 2018, he led the league for linebackers, I think, most tackles made, because that year Darius Leonard led the league in most tackles. But no, was it 2018 or 2019? Whatever the case was, one of those years he led the league in tackles made by linebackers. Right? Yeah. So just off of that.
Last year, he had 155. Okay.
Exactly, right? So just off of that, and he's a starter. Let's say you don't know who he is. You look at these stats, he's a starting linebacker. He's probably a top 15 linebacker just off of those numbers. Because in my opinion, you don't just stumble into making those type of tackles every year. You don't stumble into those numbers.
No.
So he's mostly a tackling machine. His pass coverage, and his passing defense grade needs work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But once again, going back to 2018 was when he had his best pass coverage grade, and it was under the now Giants defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. Also, so I think, maybe he could improve in pass coverage and help us out with the tight ends, the Zach Ertz of the world this year. But also, because he was really the only person stopping the run in Green Bay in his time at Green Bay, now he comes over to the Giants, who have a good defensive line that could hopefully stay together, that's primarily built to stop the run. He's going to have a lot of that pressure taken off him because he didn't have that in Green Bay. They weren't a run-stopping defense. The person that was stopping the run was Blake. That's why he had so many tackles. So now that he comes over here, he's back under the guy who gave him his best coverage grade, and he doesn't have to worry about the run so much. And he's young. I believe he's going to improve in his passing coverage game because he's going to have a lot more time to actually look and try to stop the pass. He's going to be with somebody to help them out to get that best pass coverage grade. He's young. He could learn more and teach himself more to improve. So, there's a lot of factors there, but there's also a lot of, ifs. This is all hypotheticals. I believe Blake Martinez will help us out in the pass coverage game because of the fact primarily that he won't have to worry about the run so much anymore. That's what I think.
This is why I brought the hub in here to talk with us, Kush, here, because these insights are great. This is a high quality amount of research that he's put in. He's talking to you. He knows how many tackles Blake got last year. He knows how many tackles he's got the previous years. He's telling you that Blake had to stop the run a lot, so you didn't get to see his pass coverage ability, but he believes that it's going to be better than what people think now that he is going to get to show that off a little bit more, which is very happy for me to hear. I'm optimistic listening to this.
And maybe, you could definitely make the argument that I'm being too optimistic. There's definitely an argument there because once again, it's all hypotheticals. But for any older Giants fans out there and any fans like us that we just used Antonio Pierce as our last good linebacker, I just say one thing. Go back and look at some Antonio Pierce tape and maybe if stats. He wasn't a great linebacker in coverage. What allowed him to be effective in coverage was the fact that our defensive line was good at stopping the run. If you go back and just check that out, it's there. It's on the internet.
That is true. He was an average to maybe even slightly below average coverage, but we had such a good defensive line with Strahan and Tuck and Umenyiora just getting at the quarterback all day that he didn't have to worry at all about I always love watching the running quarterbacks play now. My favorite non-Giant player to watch is probably Russell Wilson. But I truly believe that the 2007, 2008 Giants offensive line would have been able to keep him in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowing to keep a mobile quarterback in the pocket gives the linebackers a lot more time in coverage, and it also allows them to make up for if they fall a step behind. because they can,
Exactly.
yeah.
And real quick, do you hear a little bit of an echo? Because one of my earbuds died. So if you hear echo, I'll just switch over to wired headphones.
I have not heard an echo yet. Have you heard my dog bark at all?
Not at all. That's a
All
good
right,
mic
good.
then.
We're both in a good situation. My dog is in the basement with me. She's I don't know where she went, but whenever she hears my daughter, who's like 10 months old, run around in her little walker, she can't actually walk on her own, so she runs in one of those wheeled things. The
Hmm.
dog goes a little berserk. So
The dog doesn't know what's happening.
no,
But
she's not sure what's going on upstairs.
whenever you do hear an echo, let me know and I'll switch over.
Okay.
So yeah, I completely agree with what you say, man. It just allows them to do their job basically, right? Because
Yep.
if you're focused on doing half of your job, obviously you're not going to be that good at doing the half that you're neglecting, right?
Mhm.
So, and maybe that will help with our DBs too. I mean, that was the belief last year. It didn't really happen. Then again, last year, our defensive back group was very young with the exception of Jenkins. But I really have faith in Blake Martinez. I hope that because he's young, because he's one of the best tacklers in the league, and because he's going back to the coach that gave him success in pass defense, that he'll have a good year.
And I wanted to ask you that too. What did you think about the Giants corner signing? And I'm James. I can't think of his last name.
Bradbury.
Yeah. What did you think of that? I was a big fan, but
All right, I'll get into it real quick. My other side just died, so I'm gonna just switch over.
okay. Well, he's switching over. I'll just mention that I was looking up some research, and he is very good in tight spots. So he's got some good reviews coming out. I know Giants fans were mixed on him. Um, I think he could help shore up that defense a little bit, maybe shut down Dak Prescott so he doesn't look like an absolute machine against us. Dak, who's about to be the most overpaid player in the NFL, Prescott. But all right.
Are you there?
So you're back. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. How's the mic quality going right now?
Perfect. I hear you
Okay,
all.
good. Because I disconnected for a sec after I disconnected my headphones. All right, but continue. I heard Dak overprayed Prescott, and I was smiling. So what were you saying?
Well, I was saying that I really liked James that we added at corner, and I was saying
Mhm.
hopefully it could make it so Dak doesn't destroy us again this year. And then I made a joke about how Dak Prescott, though a good quarterback, I'll be honest, I don't like him. He's on the Cowboys, but he's a good quarterback. Is about to be the most overpaid player in the NFL because you're taking a guy probably somewhere in the 7 to 10 range,
Mhm.
maybe even a little bit worse than that, and making him the highest paid player in the NFL, which is what the rumors are. And
Yeah.
you know, there's
This is
just so
something.
many guys I'd
This
rather give
is
that money to.
Yeah. This is something else we could get into too. But I know we're probably both gonna be strapped for time eventually. I guess let's leave it at this, right? NFL needs to do something about cap space and how they're paying their players because it can't continue like this where guys are getting like 20% of the cap to themselves. That's just ludicrous. And I don't think any player deserves that. I don't care how good you are. You're not taking up 20% of my cap space because it leaves me with nothing else to do with the rest of it.
Well, they talked about that. I was listening to Sports Talk Radio a couple days ago. It was Rich Eisen, and he
Mhm.
mentioned that no quarterback on the max deal has won a Super Bowl. Oh, I think he had to go back to when Peyton did it with the Colts, because when Ben Roethlisberger won his first Super Bowl, he was on his
The
rookie
rookie deal.
contract. I
Yeah.
think when he won his second one, he was on his rookie contract. When Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, he was on his second contract, but if you remember, he was a backup for a
Yeah.
while, so he didn't get paid big. When Russell Wilson won it, he was on his rookie contract. When Peyton won it with the Broncos, he had taken less to be on a competitive team, and Tom Brady historically took less. And
Just to make the team better. Yeah.
and Patrick Mahomes just did it on his rookie contract.
And with
So you
Eli, the
do,
first time Eli did it was rookie contract, but the second time in 2011, he was on his second contract, but it wasn't a max deal, right?
yeah, yep. So
Okay.
you do need a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. It's proven the way the NFL is, where you can't hit guys like you used to, so defense isn't as important. But
And
stop it.
I do not like that at all.
I agree with you. But you also can't pay a guy 20%, like you're saying, of your cap and win a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Nobody in the league is as valuable enough to be a fifth of your cap. That means
Exactly.
the other 10 players are only worth 80%, and he's worth, on
And
offense, actually.
there's gonna be other max players on your team too. It's bound to happen.
Yep. Yep.
Like so, it's like the way the league is moving right now. The new formula is Chiefs. You win a Super Bowl in the dude's rookie contract, you give him that max money, which I assume they're going to do, and you just hope for the best on that max contract, and then rinse and repeat. Win on rookie, give the max, hope for the best. I think that's where the league is going.
Yeah. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe Patrick Mahomes won't take a max deal.
Maybe Daniel Jones won't take a max deal. Can you imagine by the time Daniel's contract is up, let's pretend that, he becomes a top 10 quarterback in the league, right? Which I think he has the potential to do. We don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say he does that. By the time his contract comes up, he doesn't even have to be a top 10. Look at Ryan Tannehill. Let's say he's just a good quarterback. By the time his deal is up and it comes around, he's probably going to be around like 50 million, maybe even more. That's crazy to think about.
And I
And
mean,
for anybody listening that might want to say, "Oh, the cap is gonna go up," it's gonna be 230 next year instead of 200. I know. Check out my channel. I talk about that. It's still not worth it. It's still like you're still giving a player 50 million a year, which is not at all worth it.
and Ryan Tannehill, case in point, that you can take a average to slightly below average quarterback, as long as he's getting paid what he's worth and you're putting good players around him, and compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and now the Titans just went against that. Like they could have kept all their players. They could have kept Conklin. They could have kept Henry, and they could have kept Tannehill, because I don't think any other team in the league was really, going out there chomping at the bits to sign Ryan Tannehill. So he'd probably come back anyway. You could have kept all three and run it again, with an improved team in the draft and see what happens. But you can't do that now because you gave the guy $118 million.
And I just said this on my Twitter earlier in the week. Conklin is going to do more for the Browns than Beckham, than basically anyone else. He's going to shore up that offensive line, and all of a sudden, all these questions about, is Beckham that good of a player? Is Landry worth what they're paying him? Is Baker Mayfield a good quarterback? That's going to go away, because he's going to open up so much for that offense, and just keeping the blind side protected of Baker Mayfield, because he is a great.
Conklin's on the right side.
I'm sorry.
He? A right tackle, yeah.
Yeah, he's a right tackle. You're right.
Who is their left tackle? Because that's the thing. I'm inclined to lean with your opinion, but the Browns really don't have, that good of an O-line. If their left tackle, if their other positions are shored up, then yes, I agree with you. Those questions are gone. But do we know who these other guys are?
Well, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, their left tackle just got arrested for a lot of marijuana. Right?
Well, now,
wasn't their left tackle Greg Robinson?
I think so, but wouldn't that go away now with the new CBA?
So it doesn't matter about the CBA. If you fail a drug test, doesn't matter anymore. The problem is he got arrested.
Oh, so this is just actual law.
Yeah, he was trying to cross the border with, oh gosh, it was hundreds.
Oh, he was doing some real illegal stuff then.
Yeah, he was trying to cross the border with a couple 100 pounds of marijuana.
So you know what? Because of that, and because we don't know how that's gonna turn out, I'm gonna still say the Browns would probably be at best an 8-8 team. But had they had their left tackle and their full lineup at offensive line, yeah, I'd agree with you. Those problems are gone, because that opens up so much.
All right. Well, I'm getting close to the amount of time I've got. I wish we could talk for hours. This has really actually been great. I'm going to do a stream on your channel on Monday, correct?
Monday, yeah. I just gotta actually figure out the technicalities behind it. Have you ever used Anchor before?
Have I ever used what?
Anchor.
I have not.
So it's basically like a podcasting website, and because of the whole virus that's going around that I can't mention by name or everything will be demonetized, because of that, they kind of came up with a brand new like remote podcasting addition to their website that I think I'm gonna use on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. We could, message back and forth once we hop off this. But yeah, so we're gonna continue this amazing conversation on
So
Monday.
how much time are we done right now? I was gonna say if you have like 10 minutes more or something.
Yeah, what were you gonna say? I can give you a couple more minutes. Yeah.
Sure. I just wanted to get back around because we never actually addressed James Bradbury. We brought it up and then we kind of went into a wormhole.
Yes, we did. We went into a wormhole about offensive line and overpaid quarterbacks.
Exactly. It was a very nice wormhole, but wormhole nonetheless. So James Bradbury, yeah, I'm with you. I love the signing. He's and I will say this, he's very underrated, and Panthers fans and NFL fans alike have said James Bradbury was underrated and underappreciated up until he signed with the Giants. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but we all know sometimes the organization just gets hate. I'm not sure why, but sometimes really, players come here and then bam, all of a sudden they're not as good as they were before. Now
It's
that
New York.
definitely it's New York. That definitely was the case with Nate Solder, no doubt. But
Yep.
James Bradbury, and this is no stats or analytics or anything, just just be like go on any type of social media, go to anything before he signed. There were people saying this guy was a Pro Bowl snub this year, and all of a sudden he comes to the Giants and he's overpaid.
Yep.
I think it was a great move. I think because he was the second best corner on the market, like I think Byron Jones is definitely overrated, but I think he's better than Bradbury. We'll have to see how that plays out. But Bradbury was the second best corner on the market, in a market which we talked about with the quarterbacks in general. The NFL market is crazy. Everybody gets overpaid. It just happens.
Yep.
But given the context that he's second best, given the context that Byron Jones got a massive deal in comparison to Bradbury, who's on a really cost-effective 3-year, $15 million a year deal that we could cut him after 2 years, which once again makes it even more cost-effective, given the fact that he comes in and he's, he, like I said, he was a Pro Bowl snub. So by that, I think he's like a top 10 cornerback in the league. All of those factors combined, I think it was a great move. I don't think he's overpaid. I think he's coming in and he's going to be the best Giants corner that we have in a long time. The only problem with Bradbury, you go and you look at his tape, is that sometimes he doesn't turn his head around in time, and that's why he doesn't get his interceptions. But he's a great pass defender. Like I think I don't have it with me right now, but there was a stat line out there in which when Bradbury played against, the NFC South receivers, the Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, and Julio Jones, who are once again probably 3 of the top 10 receivers in the league, he held each of them below like 100 yards in some games.
Was that like, your video? I heard that on where.
That was my vid. Yeah, I just can't remember the exact.
Yeah, stats. I think he held Evans in back-to-back games to under 50 yards.
Exactly. And
yeah,
I think he held each
had like 200 yards against us last year. So
he had nearly 300 yards against us last year, against our number one Jenkins. So Bradbury is the real deal. It's just that people, I guess, don't want to look at it that way. Because once again, he was a Pro Bowl snub. And that's Giants fans weren't saying this because we didn't know who he was last year. NFL fans were saying this. So like that's my take on Bradbury.
Well, I had a similar take, not as strong. I did not, like I said, what you're gonna get when we talk to people like this, with like people at the hub here who do really in depth on one team, is you're gonna really know a lot about the players that team has. I'm not going to go as in depth on the individual players. I'm looking more at the fantasy aspect in the team as the league as a whole. I'm not going on one player. Which
I want to say is really interesting, by the way, the fantasy aspect of it.
Yes, but this is why it's great to bring somebody in here who really looks at one team deep, because the problem you often run into in the middle rounds is you're not really sure who to take. There's a lot of like decent players, but if you can listen to somebody like the hub and be like, all right, so I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the 10 to 15 range for quarterback, and the Giants shored up their offensive line. Okay, I'll take Daniel Jones. The Giants didn't shore up their offensive line. All right, maybe I go with somebody like Matt Stafford, who will probably be available, or Baker Mayfield. And you just got to kind of look at more in-depth aspects than you often do. So that's why I'm trying to bring on guys who really dig deep into teams and get you that look.
Yeah, definitely, man. And with the Daniel Jones too, I'm sure this has been noted somehow, some way in fantasy. Quarterbacks make a leap year too. You know, look at
Yeah.
Lamar. I don't know if you could argue Patrick Mahomes because his year 2 was basically his year 1, but it's something that happens. And if you're looking for somebody in the mid rounds that might be available, I'll say this: even if we don't show up our offensive line in the first round, right? I
Yep.
know we're gonna do something in the second round, whether it's a center or a tackle. I'd still take DJ if he's available, you know, in a fantasy draft mid rounds and whatnot, because of it's known that quarterbacks take a leap year too. I'll take him for that. It may be a risk.
Josh
But
Allen. Josh
Josh
Allen,
Allen, yep.
Lamar
Oh, by the
Jackson,
way, I
two
don't know
big ones.
why. Josh Allen gets a lot of hate. I'm not sure why. I like Josh Allen actually. Just like a random thought to put out there. He gets a lot of hate.
I went to college up near Buffalo, so I can't like the Bills because Bills fans are insane. And if
Bills
you tell
Mafia.
them anything good about their team, it's just going to go to their head. So I do
Oh,
like
man.
Josh Allen too, but I try not to say that in public.
You know, Bills Mafia is a different type, man.
That they are. I do got to get going though, so I'm gonna have to call it a day. I'll talk to you about setting it up for Monday, and I hope everybody here listens, likes, subscribes to my channel. I put the links to the Hubs channel in the description. If you get a chance, click on those. He's got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm going to send you over the link to this video, Kush. So if you want to put in the comments anything else where people can find you, and give a shameless shout out to your channel right now.
Well, shameless shout out time. Guys, come on, man. I am your one stop for Giants news. I don't address everything, but I address what you need to know. That's if that's what you're coming for, you're gonna learn all that you need to know about the Giants. That's my shameless shout out.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. I
Thank you for
really
having me
enjoyed
on.
this. Can't wait to do it on Monday, and then hopefully a couple more times before the season starts, we can meet up and keep doing this. I'm shooting you right now a link to the YouTube video, and I'm going to have to call it a day so I can get upstairs and help my wife out with the kids so that she can make dinner. So I will.
Sure.
I'll talk to you guys later.
I see you then. Peace.
Bye.